Guys, the Chickens here. If you don't know who I am, I'm a Boom Beach YouTuber. Today we're going to be showing you a sneak peek preview on every single troop, airdrop, commander, and defense that is in Rush Wars. So, without further ado, let's just dive on into it. Alright, so first up, we got the troopers. These are your initial troops you start out with. Nothing special, nothing fancy, just a bunch of dudes that have rifles that walk up and shoot the next troops or building. Yeah, you're gonna unlock them right away. So the pitcher, ex-baseball pitcher, putting those throwing skills to use, medium range and best against groups of enemies. So she does a little bit of splash damage. Very good early on, I've found. She's able to take out groups of troopers very easily. So definitely a good troop to mix into your battles. The next up, we got the shields, and just like their name, they have a little bit more defense. They don't pack much of a punch, but they're good to keep in front of your troops and your pitcher to keep them alive just a little bit longer. Next up, we have the tank. The tank's very slow moving, but powerful, and it has a lot of HP. So it takes a while for it to be taken down, but it's going to do some pretty significant splash damage, and it's an epic rarity troop. The rest of them that we saw were just common, so we're getting into the better troops. So next up is the bazooka. The bazooka, let's take a look here, guys. The bazooka does long range, lots of damage. Takes his fire rate is pretty slow, but what I like to do is keep one at the very back of the troops if I do end up using one of them. And just that extra firepower, and he also does splash damage if the troops are close enough. You see right there, they also took out the explosive barrels, so he can be useful in a number of situations. Next up, we got the hotshot. Eyebrow model by day, hotshot by night. He moves fast and blasts anything in front of him. Shotgun doubles as a selfie stick. So the shotgun guy's pretty good. He's got some pretty good range. He does some pretty good damage, and he also does a little bit of splash damage. So take from that what you will. Now, next up, we have the jetpacks. Fast-moving, medium range, and can fly over obstacles. Can't be targeted by certain troops or defenses. Blue hair is the new pink. So let's take a look at... I haven't seen this one yet. Let's take a look at what this one does, guys. So she flies over obstacles, and she doesn't get hit by the ground defenses, it looks like. Doesn't do very much for damage, but just the fact that she can get into... kind of obscure situations, I guess, makes her pretty useful. So there's the jetpacks. Next up, we have the gorilla. It's a building targeting gorilla with a giant wrench. Why did they make a wrench this big? What does he do with it? So many questions. Gorilla essentially is a giant from Clash of Clans or Clash Royale. Just a big hefty dude that goes straight for buildings, and he's going to absorb damage from all the troops and buildings, defensive buildings around him as he goes to take them down. So obviously he's going to be useful in certain troop comps and not so useful in others. So the next up, we got the laser. His attack passes through and damages all enemies in its path. This makes him terrifying beyond the capacity for rational thoughts. Let's take a look at this Cyclops-looking dude. So he actually holds this giant laser. Okay, and it goes really far. So that's interesting. It doesn't stop. It goes through a bunch of different enemies. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Again, that is an epic rarity. Next up, we got the plumber van. The van parks up, then the plumbers pile out like an army of handyman ants who won't fix your pipes. So let's see what the plumber van does. Does it go through these boxes? It plows right through them. It goes up to the gorilla, and then the plumbers, this is a defense too, so the plumbers basically, they just keep coming out. The plumbers are very weak themselves, but it's just the fact that they keep spawning that makes them useful. So there's the plumber van. Next up, we have the rocket truck. So the rocket truck is going to deal long range area damage to ground units. Side hustles as a grilled cheese sandwich food truck on the weekends. Keep that in mind. So a lot of health, a lot of damage, very slow, and only good against specific units. So we'll see him right there, take down the shields, and then take down whatever those guys are that have a little bit more health. Again, epic, so it's going to, its troop space is going to be a little bit higher. It's going to take a little bit longer to unlock. So next up, we have the Sneaky Ninja. Let's take a peek, guys. The Sneaky Ninja, he's able to be invisible until he comes up to whatever he's attacking. He does pretty good damage. Doesn't have a ton of health, but he's going to be useful in his own ways. Next we have the Boxer. So the Boxer briefly stuns enemies with each punch. Enjoys a good brawl almost as much as a soft bamboo tank top. So let's take a look at the Boxer. So bigger dude. He's got a lot of health, and the fact that he stuns the enemy, I guess, is his biggest bonus right there. I don't see him being overly useful, but Maybe there's going to be some defenses that we're going to see later that really get damaged by this. So next up is the Helipod, another epic attack troop. So the Helipod is going to fly over obstacles and drop bombs from its steel jaws. Look out below. Piloted by a 7-foot henchman who didn't make the basketball team. So the Helipod is going to be very useful against troops that can't hit it in the air. I imagine things like bazookas or other troops like that are going to be a pretty big nuisance for it. Just the fact that it's slow is going to be its biggest drawback, but other than that, it looks very, very strong. Obviously, you're not going to get it until later on. It's not going to be something you unlock until HQ 5. You can see right here all the ones that are grayed out mean that you can't unlock them until you hit a certain HQ level. So next up, let's check out the henchmen. So armed with tasers, that's slow and a strong desire to please mother. They won't stop until you're burnt toast. Squad size 8, so there's a lot of them. They're going to go up against the shields and this gorilla. And the gorilla is going to squash them, I think. But they do a little bit of stun damage. They don't seem overly useful against troops that do splash damage, but you know, there is a lot of them, so I'm sure there's going to be uses for them somewhere in the meta. Next up is Blaze. So shoots a jet of flame at short range, effective against against groups of enemies. Always looking for a new audience to roast with his stand-up routine. Hilarious as always. Supercell. Look at this guy! Oh my god, he does some work. So he doesn't have a ton of health, but he does a ton of splash damage. So obviously not someone that you're going to unlock until later in the game. HQ 7. You actually max out your HQ at HQ 8, so that's going to be closer towards the end game that he's going to come into play. And then we got Kung Fu. Kung Fu deals area damage close up with his nunchucks, which double as drumsticks when playing for his smooth jazz band Hot Potato. This is a guy we saw earlier on that I wasn't sure who he was. So he's going up against 2 plumber vans, and look at the work that this guy does. Oh my god, these guys are scary. So they just make mincemeat out of those plumbers and then take down the trucks like nothing even happened. So that's just the troops. Now we get into the airdrops. Now, there's not a ton of them, but we're going to show you the previews. So this is the arcade. This is what you start out with. This is what we saw in the teaser trailer on Twitter. It's just a bomb that drops from the sky. It's able to take out explosive barrels and troops and do some damage to buildings. Next up is the boost. This is like a rage spell in Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Speed Serum, and Boom Beach. I don't know anything in Heyday, but it's basically just makes your troops faster, makes them shoot a little bit more, increasing their damage and fire rate, etc., etc. Next up, we have the heal. Pretty self-explanatory. It's going to heal your troops. We don't know if it does that much heal. It actually looks like Pam's heal from Brawl Stars. It's cool how they like really incorporated all these games in one way or another. The heal is going to heal up your troops. It's not going to be that useful. Invisibility. This one looks interesting. I haven't unlocked it yet in the way I've been playing, but it's going to be great for troops like this that can do a sneak attack. And then, yeah, tank with invisibility is going to be pretty OP, it looks like. So it's going to be able to take out all those troops in one go without taking any damage because it is invisible. Next up, we have the paratroopers. So it drops 2 troopers on the enemy. Hawaiian shirts and hairy legs falling from the sky. Terrifying, terrifying. So let's see what the paratroopers do. So they lock right down. So if there's one defense that's really bothering you, aka mortars, because mortars seem pretty OP in this first initial beta of the game, that's going to be interesting to be able to take out defenses just like that, and in use with the gorilla right there. So the defense doesn't just turn and destroy them right away because they don't have a ton of HP. So fridge freezes enemy units and sends a chilling message. Someone left the fridge door open overnight and the yogurt has gone bad. Oh my god, guys, it's just terrifying. So there's the fridge, and it's actually able to let the bazooka take down that base, or take down that defense where otherwise he wouldn't have had a chance. So it not only freezes, it does some pretty good damage. So that's going to be very, very useful. So next up we have the satellite. Show that you mean business by pulling an object out of orbit and landing it on the enemy. Deals huge damage in a large area. Area damage 325. That's pretty massive. So let's take a look at this. Oh my god. So it's basically like a beefed up arcade. That's pretty crazy. It just looks cool too. I like that one a lot. So that's it for the airdrops. Not a lot of them. And then we got commanders. Commanders are essentially your hero units, like your king, your archer king, your or your barbarian king or the grand warden in Clash of Clans, or all the heroes that we know in Beach, Private Bullet, Brick, etc., etc. So they're going to come with your battle. They have special abilities as well. So let's take a preview at what some of these guys are able to do. So they'll have their main base attack. And then they'll have similar to an airdrop ability, right? They'll have their special abilities that they're able to use on the enemies or the buildings, whatever, or on your own troops, even just like this guy. And they'll have a couple different things that they can do. So that was what was that guy's name? That was Coach. So then we got Lady Grenade straight out of center court. Lady Grenade's preferred greeting is a savage chest bump. She likes to call the Grand Slam. Ability serves up a volley of grenades. Let's take a look at Lady Grenade. She looks pretty powerful. So look at this guy. She's able to take out all those explosive barrels. Obviously that base is kind of set up to make her look really good, but that's kind of scary. I mean, you throw a couple gorillas in front of that, and I mean, it doesn't really matter what other troops you bring. So then we have the Bear Man. Being raised by bears gave Bear Man a unique perspective on life, but he never learned to talk, so no one knows what it is. Ability, charges forward, smashing through and into things. I like this guy. I like him a lot. Look at this thing. Oh my god, he's got the shoulder drop. He's got a lot of HP. He doesn't have a lot of HP, but he's got enough. He's got enough. Let's take a look at that again. That was pretty cool. So he smashes right into these guys. He takes out those barrels and saves the day. Next up, we have Mother. From the safety of her weird egg tank, okay, Mother runs her tech startup. It takes a bold CEO to add a cannon to their office. Ability hires a couple of loyal henchmen. So let's take a look. So she looks like a witch, like maybe she spawns units, is what I'm gathering. Okay, she's in that giant tank thing. What a weird hero this is. She looks very strong though. Yeah, okay, so it's like a witch kind of. She does like a witch in Clash of Clans or Clash Royale, whatever. She's gonna spawn up these units. She's got a pretty good amount of health if that tank isn't able to take her, isn't able to do too much damage to her. But she looks very, very strong. Next up, we have the chicken's favorite. This is BIG, Notorious. For a fire in his laser, BIG also loves to read archaeology novels while in prison inside the robot dinosaur. Ability, jumps forward and lands with stomp. This guy's, I've used him a couple times. He's actually very good. So you see right there, he's like an Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon. He does a lot of damage. So he does a ton of single target damage, and you'll see right here when he uses his stomp, once all these enemies get through, it's similar to like a Mega Knight. He's like a Mega Knight with an Inferno Tower laser on his head. Like, he's just insane. So now let's go through all the defenses, guys. I'm trying to make this quick. I apologize if I'm talking too fast, but I wanted to show you guys everything in one video. So we got the mortar right here. So the mortar is probably early on the best defense in the game. Upgrade this, make sure you have it placed. It takes out everything. It takes out everything. It does a lot of splash damage. It's got really good range. Mines are exactly what you think. They're just mines. You plant them wherever, and then they do some pretty good splash damage as you upgrade them. Cannons are just like cannons. They're going to do your single target damage. They're going to be an important defense. You don't unlock them right away. So, yeah, it takes they're still common, but they take a little bit to get up to. So plumber hole. Plumber hole is like the plumber van, except the plumbers come out of a hole and attack the attackers instead of coming out of a van and attacking the defenders. And they just keep spawning until you take out the plumber hole. I don't believe there's any sort of limit on the amount of plumbers that can come out. So if they do get caught in a good situation, they can just keep coming, and they can actually bring some pretty good defensive wins. So bombs, you can hide them in the bush like this guy did here, and they do a little bit more damage than a mine, and they're a little bit harder to step on, obviously, because there's one of them and not two of them. Walls. Now, walls you can actually build up just like in Clash of Clans, just like in the most famous Supercell game, and it just slows up their walls. I don't really need to explain them, I don't think. You upgrade them, they get stronger. You can put them wherever you want. Next up, we have a Gatling gun. Gatling gun is going to lock on and do single target damage. I'm not sure if it does splash damage. Can we check this out? Damage, attack speed, attack range 7. Some perfect takedown. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it does splash damage or not. Next up, we have the cluster cake. Surprise! It's your birthday, your final birthday. So the cluster cake is just a bigger bomb that spreads out a bunch of little bombs. That looks pretty cool. Next up, we got the box ninja. It's a ninja in a box, but if you get close, it becomes a ninja out of the box. So surprise, there's a ninja coming. Kind of like the Goblin Cage. A lot of throwbacks to other games. I'm loving this. And then he comes out and he stabs everyone right in the face. What's not to like? Freeze mine. Freezes air and ground units and gravity, apparently. Cool, huh? So let's take a look at this. So he freezes all these troops, and then all the defenses are able to stop them. Because this seems to be like a especially early on, guys. This seems to be like something you need to just be aware of, especially when you're putting your troops down right away. Don't cluster them all together, or things like mortars or any sort of defense that does splash damage is really just going to disrupt your entire raid, because if it's able to hit all the enemy units at once, then it ends up like this. So things like the air horn airdrop, where it just speeds up your troops and just simply gets them walking faster out of the range of everything, that's going to help you a lot. So now we got our last 4. The plasma gun. The plasma gun. Oh my god, this is going to be disgusting. The plasma gun shoots through everything. Lots of splash damage, lots of regular damage. It's a rare defense, but you can't get it until HQ6, so these are more later on. Dummy, this was something that was, I think this image of this guy was leaked. The dummy is just a dummy. Like, he just sits there. He's a scarecrow, essentially, and he just wastes time, and then there's a little bomb at the end of him that explodes. Kind of interesting. The Tesla pops up, zaps multiple targets at once, then slinks away. Dreams of becoming a disco ball one day. It wouldn't be a Supercell game, guys, if there wasn't some sort of hidden Tesla unit. This one probably looks the coolest out of every game, and oh my god, does it do some damage. Can we see that again, please? Look at this. So he pops up out of the ground, he zaps, and then he zaps again. Pretty good fire rate, pretty good area damage. And then the next is the rocket trap. This one's really interesting. It's just a hole in the ground, and then it shoots up, and a bunch of rockets fly out of it, and they do a lot of damage. So 1, 2, 3. It's only going to fire for you once. It's not going to continuously fire, but it does a pretty massive amount of damage when it does. So, guys, we covered everything in the lab. We covered all the defenses, all the commanders, all the airdrops, and all the troops. If you enjoyed that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be bringing you guys everything that is Rush Wars. We're going to be doing a push live stream later on today as soon as the chicken gets home from work. And it's going to be a lot of fun, so I hope you guys stop by and let me know how you're doing. Oh, fun fact, you stuck around to the end of the video. Here's a tip for you. These chickens, only the chicken knows this. These chickens on the screen, once you tap them, they run a different direction. I mean, if it wasn't worth watching 17 minutes up until this point, I think you guys should, I think leaving a like for that little tip alone is necessary. But guys, thanks so much for watching. New to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We're going to be focusing on Rush Wars for the next little bit while it's in beta. I hope you guys enjoy. If you're in a different country and are unable to download the beta, check out one of our most recent videos. We go over a tutorial explanation on how to do that. Get it in any country. And yeah, guys, that's all I got for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. That is going to wrap up the video today. Make sure to leave a like if you found it interesting, entertaining, or informative. And we'll see you in the next one. Guys, chicken is out of here.